Welcome to the Other Races website preview of the Diamond Jubilee Stakes. It's the feature race on the final day of Royal Ascot, and there's one horse in this that we're all dying to see.
Buffering's under the whip and 3 lengths to Fox Wedge. Down in the final 300 and Hale clinging on narrowly. But now here comes the great mare, and Black Caviar raced up and she's gone past Hale. Schofield had to pull the whip. She's having a bit of a race, but Black Caviar is a length and a half in front, and the wonder from down under wins again. Black Caviar 19 straight from Hale.
At the 250, Nolan's got a stranglehold on Black Caviar. She looks at the 30,000 strong crowd and says, geez, I'm good. No, I'm not good. I'm the best you've ever seen in the world. Black Caviar, she's better than a perfect 10. She comes on, she's 20 out of 20. Black Caviar, full lengths. It's Black Caviar leading, about a half length in front of Streetcar Magic. Nolan sits quietly. Down the outside, We're Gonna Rock's coming home well. Black Caviar 2 in front. We're Gonna Rock's up to second. Sterling Grove goes to third. He hasn't moved on Black Caviar. Black Caviar, the equine superstar of the world. And that's 21 today.
Black Caviar, then a very warm favourite for the Diamond Jubilee Stakes. She's 21 from 21 down in Australia. And Jason, I just think I've never seen anything quite like her. She's remarkable.
Yeah, you lucky enough to see her in the flesh as well. I can't wait to get up close to her at Ascot, of course.
She weighs more than Denman.
Yeah, 5 kilos more than Denman. Just the 575 kilos. An absolute ball of muscle. Look, she's coming to give the Poms a spanking, but we're all rooting for her. We are all rooting for her.
And Andy, we've seen good Australian horses, Choisir, Miss Andretti take over target, come and beat us out of sight. She surely is going to do a similar thing by a very wide margin.
Well, it's ground dependent again. I mean, by the Saturday, she's, you'd expect it to be good to soft, and I don't think there'll be any problem for her there. But again, if it poured down all week and it was suddenly heavy, you were talking about the ground in Australia, and what good ground in Australia is.
Completely different, different, the ground. They call a wet track a good to soft track. They'll be going in this much. Yeah. We're going in this much. That's the only question.
They do say she's won a barrier trial, a trial race on very, very heavy ground. So you could take a bit of comfort from that.
Yeah, I can beat Max in a trial race, on soft ground or whatever. But I'm afraid when the hammer's down, it could be that's the only chink. If there is one chink in her armour, it will be the ground. She'll never encounter conditions this soft.
So Black Caviar likely to start a very, very warm favourite for this. She has scared off 1 or 2 of her rivals. So let's check out the rivals for Black Caviar. They could include Bated Breath, Moonlight Clouds, Pastoral Player, Society Rock, who won the race 12 months ago, was second as well a couple of seasons ago to Star Spangled Banner. Hoofit's also in this race alongside the Checker, and Mason for Richard Fahey. So Moonlight Clouds was a horse who was very highly regarded by Freddie Hedge. She came across and disappointed in the 1,000 guineas, but just seems to have been revitalised by a drop down in distance, Andy.
Yeah, and she's won 6 from 10. She's got a good excuse. I mean, I don't like to make excuses for horses, but she's got a very valid excuse in 3 of those. In the 1,000 guineas, clearly she didn't stay. As a 2-year-old, she ran on desperate ground over 7 furlongs. Again, she didn't get home. And then last year, when she came over to take on Deacon Blues, she got no run whatsoever here at this course.
At the Champion Stakes meeting, wasn't it?
She did. And to me, I mean, without Black Caviar in the race, she would have an absolutely massive chance of winning this race. I've had a big bet on her, but I've had a bet on her in the market without Black Caviar.
She looked really improved towards the back end of last season, dropped in distance, and as a physical specimen, she seemed to improve again when making a seasonal debut this year.
It's funny, we're all talking about trips, but it's also the track you've got to take into consideration. She ran 7 furlongs down the Longchamp Hill there, which is a very easy 7 furlongs. The only one occasion she's tried to run over the 6, she was behind, of course, Deacon Blues. Only 3 3/4 lengths. It was a really, really good effort. So the track seems to suit. She's not ground dependent one way or the other. She's a definite contender. And of course, Freddie Head's going to come over saying, oh, we're not scared at all. Well, of course you're not scared. It's a horse race. Get out there and let them run.
Yeah, Freddie talking a good game about Moonlight Cloud. Well, a horse who does act on the track is Society Rock. As a 3-year-old, he was second to Star Spangled Banner, and he gets up over on the far side to win this race 12 months ago. And he made a satisfactory comeback, Jason, at York when he was third in the Duke of York.
Yeah, he was behind Tiddlywinks. He's knocked heads with, of course, Dream Ahead. He's had a bit of a spanking, a 4-length spanking by Moonlight Cloud over at Deauville. He's a good sword. He's been knocking around with the best, hasn't he? Star Spangled Banner, Genki, Bated Breath, all of them. He's been in amongst the boys. I don't know. I thought he was given a great ride. Pat Cosgrave, who was on board on that occasion, who won't be on board this time round. He'll be pot hunting around the country. I don't know. He just doesn't come in here with the same sort of zip.
And for you, Andy, Society Rock?
Absolutely, he's a player for me. He's second first at Ascot. Unlucky last time out. If Black Caviar runs up to the form that she's shown in Australia, we don't need to be worried about her too much. But in terms of the market without Black Caviar, then I've gone with Moonlight Cloud with a saver on Society Rock.
Any others to mention?
The one that's interesting is Ortasia, in that if she runs on the Tuesday and the ground is desperate, she's very likely to run down the field. It's more from a trading perspective, I think. But if she runs down the field on very, very soft ground and it dries up by the Saturday, she's very, very likely to run an awful lot better here today. Conversely, if it's very fast ground by the time Tuesday comes along, I would suggest having a little pop at her for this race before the King's Stand, because she's liable to go very well in the King's Stand, if not win it, and shorten up quite dramatically for this race. More a trading possibility for me, that one.
Paul Mazzeri was saying this morning there's a good chance she should, or could back up in both of those races. And
why shouldn't she? She's won twice within 7 days before. She's won twice within 16 days, I think. She every reason for her to go for both.
So the winner, Jason?
Look, we're all rooting for the Mighty Mare, aren't we? We want to see something special. We want to be part of it. That's the main thing. Going to just reiterate it again. She ran 108 over 6 furlongs on what they call good to soft ground. You don't do that on good to soft ground. She ran 56 and change over 5 furlongs on what the Australians called a soft track. You don't run that quick on our equivalent of soft. So that's my only concern. It's the only thing that can get her beat is testing, very, very testing conditions. I'll throw one into the mix. Back in without Black Caviar, the checker for Eve Johnson-Houghton stays particularly well, has only recently come down sprinting. Without Black Caviar is still a 16-to-1 shot.
And for you, Andy?
Moonlight Cloud, a very big bet for me, 9-2 each way in the market without Black Caviar. Interesting, comparing Black Caviar's chance with Frankel. Frankel, very, very hard to find any sort of a negative. With Black Caviar, first time over here, we've no idea how she's going to respond to that. And the other thing is very soft ground. Black Caviar will probably win by 5, but there are just those tiny little doubts.
So Moonlight Cloud each way for Andy, the checker in the betting without market for Jason. But for me, it's about Black Caviar. She could run £15 below her best and still beat this lot.